my findings,
Sorry, I'm recording this. Go ahead.
okay, my findings are not at all what I expected them to be for the term of Jewel. And it, I'm still trying to understand if it correlates with the dream I had. We can discuss that offline, but I'm just like really surprised. I'm curious to see, Lilian, what you discovered, like what you dug up with Jewel.
You shared a little bit of that with me. I was impressed too.
Yeah, I'll tell you how this went, because I think other listeners will be excited to hear what a struggle I had. I couldn't seem to get off the ground. I looked for jewel, and in my mind, I was associating it with a gemstone jewel.
Okay.
And most of the times it looked as though they had translated the word stone as opposed to jewel. I only saw 3 actual references that I thought were jewel, like a stone, a gemstone, as opposed to a stone in a rock. The first reference was in Proverbs 11:22, and it was negative. It was about the woman who had no discernment, and she was like a pig with a jewel in its nose. The second one was Isaiah 3:21, and the third was Ezekiel 16:12, and they're better. But I ended up abandoning that search.
Okay.
Then I went on and started and abandoned a second search on the next day. And then I got off on a tangent about the stones on the breastplate on, the stones on the breastplate with, and I wrote down all the different ones and their English terms and et cetera. And then finally I saw that if you mirrored the number for jewel 5141, it was actually 1415.
Yeah.
And it was Rivka.
It was a position, Rivka.
By position, yeah, thank you for, I wrote that down. But to me, that satisfied this first search.
Yeah.
Everything else I abandoned. It wasn't going anywhere for me.
Did you, let me ask you this, Lilian, did you stop there or did you take it a little farther or?
No, I was satisfied with it. So did it spur you to do something? Did you get something out of it?
I did. In fact, my study today, I did a study on the jewel, and then today I did a completely different study and it tied together with the jewel. And so now I have a big study, a pretty big one I had to call Larry about, but it morphed into what you're saying, this Rivka thing.
Yeah,
we come to the understanding through the nose, because Rivka was given a jewel, a bracelet, and a earring for her nose.
Yes.
And what I discovered along the way was pretty fascinating, but I'm not going to share that right now. But I want to hear what you guys, do you have any more to say, Violeta? Is that?
Oh, I haven't started mine yet. I wanted to let Lilian finish her search.
Yes. So you're not even got off the ground yet on your study. Okay.
Oh, wait.
Now today, in today's lesson, what I want to ask you, go ahead.
Yeah, I did do my homework, but I wanted to see if Lilian was finished.
So I was finished. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
is it my turn to give my?
It's your turn. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So wow. And this is separate from the dream. So this is why I say that it's. I was surprised to see this revelation come up for me. Okay.
Can you screen share your findings? Do you have it, or is it just on a note?
Oh, it's just on my notes.
Oh, okay.
It's in my notes.
Okay.
But it's pretty. I think it's pretty organized. I started with the jewel. Oh gosh, talk about contrast. Lilian, you are right. So Proverbs 11:22, as a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman which is without discretion.
Right.
And then it's the complete opposite of Ezekiel 16:12. And I put a jewel on thy forehead and earrings in thine ears and a beautiful crown upon thine head. Okay, so for Proverbs 11:22, that version of it, immediately I see a jewel of gold. It's there. And it's there. It's being shown to us that it's on the snout or nose of a pig,
Right.
a swine.
Yep.
And I used to live in Houston, and I don't mean to offend people, but it reminds me of the jewelry that women put on as a sign of their faith and religion. So that's the first impression that I have. And well, no, swine. I think of the swine, the group of pigs who fell off a cliff and who received the legion, the evil spirits. And so I'm having those immediate associations.
Okay.
And then I thought, okay, so swine, the whole visual imagery is ridiculous. Like, who would even think to put a piece of jewelry on a pig,
Right.
on the snout? It just looks ridiculous. It's senseless. It's not beautiful at all. And then it took me to seeing the women that I used to see when I lived in Houston, with the nose rings, and their religion was Hinduism, is Hinduism.
Okay.
And I made a connection there. So there it's about what I understood it to be, false religion, false, a false faith, false beliefs. And then I have, oh, I looked up, in this case, the jewel is placed on the swine's nose. It's a self-appointed. So I thought, okay, these are the unclean spirits who went into the swine, and they're still appointing themselves in this world in many forms. And so they're self-appointed unclean spirits with their unclean notions, and that are at the core senseless. So, and then the false beliefs, this is with the false religion, and then the woman, the fair woman, so is a fair woman which is without discretion, reminded me of the woman in Revelations, the harlot, who is beautiful. It's not a good beauty. It's the wrong beauty. So, and it's in bad taste. So that's a fair woman, which is without discretion, without discretion. So I looked at the meanings of each of the numbers, the 3303, the 802, the 5493, and the 2940. The 2940, indiscretion behavior, could also relate to behavior. Indiscreet ideas, how she presents herself. And Ezekiel, I have, let's see, I have some other, okay, so
You have the reference?
I have references, but I have Isaiah 66:3, which leads to idolatry. But that, and then I also have Ezekiel 16:12. They're not listed under here, but they're oh, okay, so they are under, oh, I think I got them from the other numbers, because I went to the side numbers as well.
Okay.
Um,
Side numbers. What do you mean? The position? The associate?
yes,
Okay. All right.
okay, I had mine, let's see. Oh, here it is. I also have 5141, Nezem, which is the nostril, the nose. Oh, I see. Okay, so 5141 Hebrew, Nezem, relates to 1122. And also 1612 Ezekiel. So I use, there it is, the 5141, the Nezem.
Mhm.
Okay, so
These are the associates here. Unless you're looking at a Greek one.
no, I was on this page. And I looked at all of these numbers and then I also looked at the scriptures underneath here.
These scriptures, the references.
Yes, I read these as well.
Uh-huh.
And then these are what led me to think about the false religion, the harlot, the lifestyle, the indiscreet behavior, in poor taste,
Mhm.
the age 2940.
Is that associate to the jewel?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, there's 1122. Okay.
Because I see these associates 3533, 9157.
Okay. So what about 11 verse Proverbs 1122?
Let's go there. Is
Sorry, Michelle, I'm all over the place.
here it is, right here.
Got really excited. Okay, so that's what we're working on.
No, you're doing great. You're doing just great. Here's your scripture right here.
Okay,
And you're saying one of these references, possibly? Or let me look here, see right next door, maybe. Strong's number. Okay.
yes, I looked at all of
40 discretion, right?
Mhm.
Discretion.
2940.
There we go. Okay, well, let me click that and have a look at that. Taste, a perception, intelligence, mandate, behavior. There's your behavior.
That's the behavior.
Discretion, judgment, reason, and understanding. Ta'am, and these all spelt the same. Ta'am, taste, feed. And when you think about swine, weren't they feeding? Remember that it says that in the New Testament, that the swine were feeding. Remember that? And they, the legion, the demons entered into them and they ran down the steep place.
Yes.
Right? They were feeding. That's what it says.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a connection there. God's connecting Greek and Hebrew for you.
Mm-hmm.
The next door neighbors, same exact meaning, really. Exactly. Judicial sentence is added here.
Mm-hmm.
And commandment. To taste it is literally to discern.
Mm-hmm. But what about the fact that this is all in poor taste?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
someone placing their own jewel on the nose,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that it's something glorious, but it's not. It's in poor taste.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in contrast, when we look at, maybe this will be better, when we look at the other one, the other scripture, the one that is
Ezekiel.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle. I didn't turn the page with my other numbers. Okay.
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel 16:12.
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually broke it down, each one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and I put, that's 54:14. So, and I put is I am, I ordain, I decree. there the Father is speaking. So it's coming from above. It's not coming from the self.
Are you saying you're reading the scripture? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. 54. Oh, well, when it says I and I put.
Yeah.
And I put. So the and I put is the I am, the Father, I.
Okay.
He's ordaining, he's decreeing, which is different, the opposite from what we just read, the decree, the mandate that we just read in the first one.
Right. Right. Commandment. Mm-hmm.
Right. So in this case, it's coming from the I am, like I and I put the jewel, a jewel. A jewel. So the a jewel is standing alone. It's self-sufficient. There's no adjective. There's nothing that it's without lack. It's not needing additional support. So it's self-sufficient. It's standing alone. It's a jewel that is being ordained and placed on the forehead, H639, which is mark brand on the forehead here.
The forehead.
The forehead.
Yeah. Let's click that. It's the word off. This is the one I was on today.
Okay. And then, so I was surprised to see this relationship with the nose, the nostril, the breath of life, and proper life, and there's also
living soul.
Yes, the living soul, and so 16 Ezekiel.
You're doing good.
Oh, there's the living soul. Okay. Oh, right. Yes. I saw that connection with the forehead. And then, so we go back to our verse.
Ezekiel 16?
Yes, Ezekiel 16. Thine ears. Oh, and then the earrings. And I couldn't believe, okay, so, and earrings in thine ears. Wow.
Yes.
Inner ear anatomy. That's the first thing that I thought of, the inner ear anatomy. And then I did some research on the actual physical ear, how the ear is created, and the rings within the ear.
Yeah.
Hearing, so it relates to hearing's God. Those are receptors in order to hear God's word.
Wow.
It's also, they're designed for balance. That's where our balance is maintained, in the ear. So there's a balance in perception, which, there's a mentioning previously to perception, a balance in lifestyle. And then there are three parts to the ear. There's the exterior, the middle, and the inner ear, which reminded me of the temple, the sanctuary. The three areas of
inner and holy of holies.
Exactly. There's the exterior, middle, and inner ear, and then it's also the organic device for capturing transmissions of sound, of course. But the external and the middle ears, specifically at the physical level, are designed for receiving sound transmission.
Sure.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the inner ear, and then of course the balance. So then, without doing further research, I'm thinking, wow, what do we hear? We hear sound, we hear music, we hear voice, we can hear trumpets. And then of course that takes you to the trumpet era, which we're in now. So there's a possible, I have possible trumpet connection, but I didn't go in that direction. But the jewel, this woman, this and a beautiful crown upon thy head. The beautiful crown, Michelle, I think is our brain, our mental faculty,
Mhm.
our brain, where the pineal gland is.
Amen.
So that leads up from here straight through the nostril, which is where they're doing the testing, right? So
Mhm.
so going back to discretion, H2940, I have taste, reason, decree, understanding, and then the head, H5493, H5493, there's no head. When there's no head, things are undone and incomplete. H5493. H5493.
They're without.
Yes, without discretion.
Mhm.
That no head, when you look at the Strongs, it means no head, undone, and I wrote incomplete.
Oh, behead.
Yes, no head, behead. And then
Uh, let's take a look at this closer though.
okay.
Okay, now you have to take it in context. You're trying to learn Hebrew. You're trying to learn the language that God is speaking. You're trying to have the mind of Christ is what we're seeking for. We're trying to hear his language. And so it's important that you understand all of this has to fit together some way. Okay. So if you're saying behead, that means to cut the head off. That's the way you're interpreting that. And but when we look at this, to turn off, like you were saying, like the hearing, not able to hear, to bring, call back, decline, depart, show, get you, go aside, grievous, lay, leave undone, be past, pluck away, put away, down, rebel, rebel, remove to and fro, revolt, be sour, take away. Okay, see the take away, turn off, aside, withdraw, be without. You're right. After you read it, see what I just did? I had to find the sound of it.
Okay.
It could not, doesn't make sense to me that it's behead. Okay, but when you see without, and what are we looking at? Without.
Yes.
Okay, which is without discretion, without understanding. You are perfectly right in associating this without the head, without discernment, without discretion, without, thinking this out. And that's the crown. That's pretty wise. That's pretty wise to discern that.
And then next to the next number is 5492, Michelle. And so that number is hurricane, tempest.
Yeah.
Red Sea storm, whirlwind.
Yeah, but it's this one. See, it's the same sewer. That has nothing to do with this.
Oh, okay.
It's just a number, like an alphabet word. It's just the number that's close. It's not, but if you chose this one, yes.
Oh, okay.
This one fits because it's the same spelling. It's the same word. And it means to deteriorate and degenerate. And then it refers it right back to here. See, but to put in the behead right there, to show evil, this is like Job. Have you seen my servant Job? None is like him. He chooses to do good and eschews evil, turns it away, turns evil away. So that is intriguing to me, this behead and to be without a head. Oh, wow. That's something else. That's really good.
What made me associate the first jewel with false faith, belief, and religion was the snout, the nostril, nose connection, unclean breath.
Oh, breath, nose.
Yeah, unclean breath. So it's unclean breath idea, or So I think it's pointing to false religions,
Mhm, mhm.
which false religions that have always existed, right? So showing us the difference between true true religion or true faith versus a, a false
Mhm,
faith.
mhm. Well, that's, it's interesting because this verse is literally contrasting, is it not? The
Very
beautiful woman and the pig, you
right.
know, and they're both sharing a jewel.
Hmm.
One is showing the indiscretion. And so, really putting that woman in the area of revelation, the whore,
Hmm.
is fitting, you
Hmm.
know, with a woman without discretion.
Hmm.
And a pig, I want to point this out. Pig, if you go and you look at that more closely, it means they do not discern between good and evil. They don't make a discretion.
Mm.
They are not cloven footed.
I read the cloven feet. I kept reading it, and I kept thinking there has to be something with the cloven foot, but I couldn't get past the physical
Mm-hmm.
part of it. you know,
Yeah.
so
Well, the cloven is very physical. The cloven
right.
foot is physical,
Hmm.
and it means to separate. You see, that's what that means, just to
Hmm.
separate, to make a distinction. And that's where you get the don't mix the clothes, only eat the animals with a cloven foot, or the chew the cud, or they do both. They chew the cud. In other words, they bring it down, they put it in their mouth that has two bellies, so it goes,
Hmm.
and it has to come out of one into another, and then they regurgitate that. So it's a picture of, you know, uh, mulling things over before
Hmm.
you just, accept.
Ruminating.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that's a big thing. And the snout, the nose, is also, it's just like a door. It's just an article on the
Mhm.
face, which is your countenance. And the nose is oh my, it's telling us we got 10 minutes left, but we will stop it after when it goes out and we'll start again, okay? We'll come right back to the same room.
Has it been that long already? Wow.
Close to 40 minutes. We got 10 minutes left. So they're just giving you a heads up there.
Oh, okay.
Um, so the nose is, let's take a look at that word closer. And you see, this is the one, the nose or the nostril, the face. Okay, because it's on the face. So the nose is on the face. A person. So this is now not just the face, it's the identity of the person, because that's what the face is.
Hmm.
You recognize people by their face. Now it goes into how the nose is used. See, like almost its action,
Hmm.
the rapid breathing. And that's where the first reference is, where God breathed into Adam the breath of life.
Mm.
Okay. Well, when in the action of that breath, you also have a fervent action, which is breathing heavily. Okay. And that then is an emotion in your person, right? In your spirit there, that is angry and associated with anger. When you breathe hard, when you breathe fast, it's anger. Or passion is another word that they use when you're breathing fast. Passion. So you're filled with emotion about something and you're breathing fast.
Mhm.
So that's where you get all of this. And notice that they also say the forehead, part of the face. All
Mhm.
this is part of the face. The forehead is always the place. See how it's broad? There's nothing there.
Mhm.
Is because that is the place that reaches, it's like your breast. The breast of the body reaches out farther than the rest of your body.
Mhm.
So that's where the priest put the breastplate.
Oh, yeah.
They reach out farther than the rest of the body. They're there first.
Mhm.
And the same with the head. The head has its own special prominent place. And that prominent place is the forehead. And that's why they put the Tefillin box. The Jews put the box with the laws right there, okay, to constantly remind them that that goes before them. The law goes before them. It's in all their thoughts. It's in all their ways. It's constantly with them. So it's a big concept, isn't it? It can be taken physical or it can be spiritual.
Mhm.
And that's the Hebrew language, very, very physical, but in order to show something very spiritual.
But there's also the crown,
On
the,
the head.
the 5850 on the other one,
Mm-hmm.
which a crown is
On the
can point to royalty, glorious, excuse me, majesty, something that's majestic,
mm-hmm.
precious.
5850.
Yes, 5850.
Okay, Atara. So here's your root word. It tells you right here. So you would go to that
Okay.
circle for an attack or protection. So there's a negative and a positive right here with the crown. And you know, they plated a crown of thorns on Jesus's head in order to indicate kingship, obviously, but it's a mocking way. And then they attacked him to crown. And that's what your head is called, a crown, you know.
Right.
So here's next door. This doesn't give you anything. So the only thing you have is these two, really, right there.
So interesting, Michelle, because I couldn't figure out the attack in this context. I didn't take it to where you just took it with Jesus and the crown of thorns that they gave him. But I thought of, putting on the helmet, God's helmet, to protect yourself spiritually. That I did think about. And then I also thought of the skull and bones. That would be, a connection to the negative side of that.
Skull. Yeah, you got
Yeah.
it. Another name for skull is Golgotha. Golgotha is skull. And it means a half circle. Because, it's a half circle. That's where they get the helmet. It's a half circle. It just covers the top. So you're right, in the skull and bones. It's just a half. And that would be in Ephesians 6, where it talks about the helmet of salvation.
Right.
Protection right there. There's your protection. And the crown is symbolized. That's where the jewel is in the crowns that we cast before Jesus's feet, right? And the bema seat judgment. Well, that's what we always are taught anyway.
So Michelle, we really should be very guarded and vigilant what we allow into our brains, into our minds.
Yeah. You can see how important it is to study the word and get the right understanding to communicate, to yourself, right? And to others, the truth. Because when we see the word, like for instance, the word knows, you don't think of you don't think of the things like well, I was just thinking, I don't know what I was thinking there, but or the face. You don't think of how they put the bracelet or the earring, is it the earring, the jewel, in her nose. They put an earring in her nose, in her face. And you really don't connect that. You don't connect that at all because God's more general. He's more general than distinct. I think that gives us room to explore, and we're learning with every word we discover, we're learning more and more, and it makes more sense, not less sense. So yeah, I had that's wonderful what you guys got. I mean,
but I have to admit, Michelle, I did not I feel like I stayed pretty basic because I did not do the distancing the way you do it, you know. I just wanted to get comfortable with,
Concepts.
yeah, the basic, the core number, the core number,
Huh.
and then seeing the concepts that are related to that core number.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And that's, you could spend a lot of time just studying
Yes.
words, you know, and that's all you need. I'm serious. The distancing is only something that I've done the last, you know, 5 years probably, that's been absolutely amazing to me. But at first you have to have the foundation kind of, you know, laid out
Yeah.
so you can let that brain go, you know.
Yeah. So I when I was doing this, I felt like I was on a treadmill that was like going faster than me. And then I had a hard time staying disciplined, like, okay, which door should I
Go. Mhm.
take, or window, or, you know, because there are many options here. Which one should I open? So I felt it was a little bit overwhelming in that sense, which a good overwhelming, but now I know that I have to be very organized, like with my notes.
Mhm.
So to be disciplined about understanding, you know, which direction I'm going to go in, and leave it and make a trail.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I do.
because I didn't close my circle. Remember how you said to close their circle?
Get a complete circle. You shut her down. Well, you said you went through 2 verses. That's pretty good.
Yes,
And you really dissected it.
yes,
I think you did a really good job. This, especially the discerning the woman with the swine in Revelation, and the symbology, you know, that you got with the discretion, the lack of discretion. I thought that was awesome because, you know, we can see all this, and then we have the